This is Getting On with Life, Biblical Wisdom for Successful Christian Living. And this lesson is Serving in Faith. God's instructions and your responsibilities in life can be as chores or as keys to God's blessing. It's a matter of heart attitude, which is the key to so much in life. When Israel returned from Babylonian captivity, the people were distracted with their own lives. When challenged to do right things, they agreed, but quickly forgot those commitments. They stopped paying money for the temple, so priests and Levites cultivated their fields to survive. People worked and bought goods on the Sabbath, and some married foreigners they were forbidden to marry. Nehemiah called the people to repent, and it seemed like a time of revival. But when he was absent for a while, the people reverted to doing wrong. He had to call them to account all over again. What causes people to drift from doing right and what they promised? I suspect it is whether we think serving God is obligation or privilege. Things we have to do can seem as obligations. Our parents, civic leaders, bosses, and religious teachers explain things we have to do. Like any burden placed on us, there can be a desire to throw things off. We don't relish obligations and restrictions. In walking with God, however, things we are required to do are very important. They have eternal significance. Yet they can seem like impositions we don't like. Many a person has abandoned their walk with God to chase some treat God might not approve. The Jews who married foreign women were drawn away from obeying God, as they promised. Those who bought from traders on the Sabbath put self ahead of God's command to keep the day holy. God's impositions were things they did not like, so the people were disposed in heart to abandon the unwanted things of God. Nehemiah saw the very same things from a completely different perspective. Instead of restrictions being things to resent, they were keys to privileged relationship with God, for God's grace and blessing. They were acts of faith. To those full of faith, serving is an act of faith. Serving in faith is where we do what is asked, in confidence it keeps open for us the flow of God's goodness. If we ignore God, we only see the impositions displacing things we would rather do. Focus on imposition versus self-will leads to us giving in to selfish desire. We see no reward or joy in doing the chores imposed. God's law can seem little more than impositions to struggle against and resent, obstructions blocking the things we think will bless us and make us happy. However, true blessing comes from God. All good things come from God. James 1:17 tells us, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow." Serving in faith knows it is delight to walk with God and enjoy Him. Doing God's will, even when it seems challenging, is our key to continuing that closeness. We don't bring our offerings or maintain God's standards because we have to, but because we want to. We want to be close to God. We want more of God's grace. We want the joy, peace, security, and love that come from Him. We want our faith to grow and our closeness with God to deepen. Our delight is to be delighted in the Lord and to be delighted by His blessings. If you don't believe God will bless, or if you think what God offers is not as good as you can get for yourself, or not as delightful as the tasty morsels the enemy dangles in front of you, you won't act in faith. You won't be able to serve God in faith or faithfully. Serving in faith happens when our faith in God stands above our love of self. So friends, check your heart. Consider what godly things you may have abandoned to serve self. Refocus your heart on knowing and enjoying God, and build relationship with Him by joyfully obeying and honoring Him, and serving in faith. God bless you.